Hello everyone. In this video, we will learn how to write a problem and solution paragraph. In the first part of the video, we will analyze the content and organization of a model paragraph. Next, we will look at the key language. After doing some practices, you will finally be ready to write your own paragraphs. Let's get started. First of all, we will read a paragraph about morning tardiness. Tardiness. Tardiness means arriving late. For example, her tardiness will result in academic failure, which means her coming late to school will result in academic failure. It is a noun. Now, before reading the paragraph for a moment, think about your own situation. What may be the causes of regular late coming to school? And what can the school do to correct this behavior among students? In other words, how can the school solve this problem? You may pause the video now for a minute and brainstorm some ideas about the solutions. Now look at the text in your handouts. Are your solutions mentioned in the text? Let's analyze the paragraph together and check. As we said, this is a solution paragraph. In this paragraph, the writer aims to provide possible solutions to a problem. So here we see 3 solutions. You may realize that there is a cause-effect chain in the solutions. The writer first states the solution and then states how this solution will work so that you reach the desirable effect, which is getting to school on time. Now let's have a close look to the organization. First of all, we have a problem statement. Here, as we said, the problem is morning tardiness, and this problem is stated in the first sentence. Some students come to class late, which affects students' success badly. Then we have our topic sentence. The school can solve this problem in 3 ways. Now let's look at the solutions. The cause and effect chain. The first solution is offering financial help. First of all, the school helps the students financially, and then, as a second step, students will not have to work after school. Students can get rest at night, and the desired effect is students get to school on time. Now let's look at the second cause-effect chain. The solution offered is counseling. School can identify causes of behavior. Then they suggest ways to practice. As a result, students can gain the habit. And the desired effect is students get to school on time. The third solution is social support. Students can be matched with other students in departments. These partners can study and decide on a program. As a result, students will manage their time and keep to it. Finally, they will reach the desired effect, which is getting to school on time. As you can see, in all these 3 cause-effect chains, we have the same desired effect. And then we have our concluding sentence. In conclusion, schools can help to solve the problem of morning tardiness among students by addressing the underlying causes. So here in this paragraph, the school solves the problem. This is the focus. The solutions would be different if the paragraph described possible solutions that the teachers can implement and the students can implement. This is important and we should keep this in mind. Now, let's have a closer look. to how the paragraph is organized. First of all, let's start with the problem statement. In the other paragraphs you wrote throughout the semester, you did not really write a problem statement. You did not write another sentence before the topic sentence. You started the paragraph by writing the topic sentence first. But here we first state the problem. We can do this in one or two sentences. You may provide a definition or the negative effects of an action or concept. For example, malnutrition is described as getting insufficient amount of the necessary or healthy food. This is the definition of malnutrition, which is the problem. It can occur among many students, which can lead to serious health problems, and this is the negative effect of malnutrition. We first state the problem and explain it. And then we write our topic sentence. The topic sentence should be just one sentence, and we should state the topic, which is the problem. We should also have a controlling idea, solutions, and we can say the problem can be solved in two ways, by applying two solutions, by implementing two solutions. So we can say two or three. And as we said, who will implement the solutions is also very important. Let's look at some examples now. The government may solve this problem in two ways. So, problem is the topic. You can state the problem, for example, poverty. The government may solve the problem of poverty in two ways. Controlling idea is solving, solution, and enumeration we have two ways. Or we can say the students can solve this problem by implementing two solutions. Here, the students solve the problem. In the previous sentence, the government solves the problem. So throughout the paragraph, we will focus on these. This problem can be solved by implementing two solutions. Who will solve the problem is not stated. We don't have to state it all the time. Two solutions can be suggested for this problem. This is an alternative topic sentence. There are two solutions that can overcome this problem. Now let's look at the explanation for solutions. Solutions should be realistic, practical, legal, ethical, and appropriate. What do we mean by this? For example, if you say, announce the latecomers' names at school to make them feel ashamed. This sentence is not okay. This explanation is not okay because it is not ethical. It will only lead to further problems, and this is not a solution too. So we shouldn't write a sentence like this. Now pause the video and go to page 6 to do some practices. Another point is, you should not write about the causes of the problem only. If you look at the text again, if you look at the solutions for morning tardiness, in the text, we mostly focus on the solutions. We state the problem, but our focus is the solutions. And we should develop the cause-effect chain fully. We should reach the desired effect in the chain. Also, we shouldn't make mention the name of a solution and then jump onto an example. We should first explain the solutions and then we should give, we can, not all the time, we can give an example which shows how the solution works. Let's look at this example. One solution is to offer financial help to students. Here, right after the major, there is the example. This is not good. So we should not write a sentence like this one. Concluding sentence or a summary sentence is optional in problem and solution paragraphs. But if you want to write one, let's have a look at those. Remember, we should write a conclusion if we believe that we can draw a conclusion. Because conclusion is not summary of the solutions. We can suggest something, we can recommend something about the problem or the solutions. If we can do that, we can write a concluding sentence. But as I said, it's not a must. It is optional. You can also write a summary sentence. You may summarize the solutions that you have suggested. You can say, in short, by increasing the number of scholarships and ensuring that healthy food alternatives are provided on campus, universities can solve the problem of malnutrition among university students. So, this is the summary of your main points. Now we can analyze the language used in the paragraph. Let's start with the problem statement. While stating the problem, we can use some quantity expressions. For example, we can use too much or an excess of. They both have the same meaning. Excess is a noun, an excess of exercise, another noun here. And it's an uncountable noun, therefore we used much here. We can also use the adjective form of excess, excessive. An excessive amount of something can do something else. Or we can say taking too many of something, too many pills, for example. Pills is countable, therefore we used many. But pay attention to the verb here. It's a singular verb. We don't look at the noun here. We look at all of this, taking too many pills. There is just one action, so we use a singular verb. Let's look at too little and not enough. Food intake. So it's uncountable, we use too little. Or we can also say not enough, as I said. Let's look at this example. We have calories, a countable noun, therefore we use too few. Eating too few calories a day can lead to. We have a model here, we will talk about it in a minute. Or we can say inadequate or insufficient exercise. These are adjectives and they are used with a noun. Or we can use lack of or a shortage of. They both mean not enough. So lack of oxygen, not enough oxygen. We can use these quantity expressions too. There are some other expressions or adverbs that we can use in the problem statement. Let's look at these adverbs. Definitely and certainly, they have the same meaning. Probably and possibly, they have similar meaning too. These state that we are certain, but here we are not so certain. And we have a negative sentence here. Pay attention to their positions in a sentence. Let's compare them. In this sentence, we have the adverbs after will. It's an affirmative sentence. Here, we have the adverbs before will not. Because it's negative, their positions change. Now let's compare these sentences. We may run out of fossil fuels in 30 to 40 years. It is likely that we will run out of fossil fuels in 30 to 40 years. These two sentences have the same meaning. But let's look at the structure again. Here we have a modal, may, might, or could. We can use all three of them. They have a similar meaning. And they come before the verb. Here we have a noun clause. So we have an adverb. It comes, we have an adjective. It comes after the verb be. So it, the verb be, adjective, and we have a that clause here. It is probable that, it is possible that, and here we bring a sentence. Now let's look at the negatives. Similar to the previous example, we have a modal before the verb, may not or might not. We have the negative forms of those adjectives there. Improbable, impossible, these are the opposites, or unlikely. Now let's see how we can write the topic sentence. In the topic sentence, if you look, you will see in all of these we have a modal. We use a modal verb because we don't want to sound that we are so certain, because we talk about a possible solution. Therefore, we use a modal. You can use can or may, and we can also have a passive structure. Look, these are active structures. We have a doer here, the government, the students. But here we start with the problem. The problem can be solved. Here the doer is obvious. Of course, it is like the people, or if we mentioned it before, for example, we mentioned students or the school before, so we don't need to mention it again. Here we have another example. Two solutions can be suggested. We can suggest a solution. That's a collocation. And again, as I said, this is a passive structure. Or we can use a there are structure. There are two solutions, two or three. You can also write three solutions. But since you will write a short paragraph, maybe it's better to write only two. There are two solutions that can, again, modal, that can overcome this problem. Overcome a problem, again, this is a collocation. We will look at them in a second. And while we are introducing the majors, as usual, we have the first, the second, the third, and then solution, or one solution, another solution. Or we have first, firstly. And the important thing here is the first solution is, if you want to write a sentence, pay attention, be careful here. You should use a that clause. Or you can bring a noun or a noun phrase here. Or the solution is to do something. Here we have the base form. Or we can use an independent clause. We can say first, firstly, comma, and write a sentence here. Now let's look at those collocations that I said. We can solve, fix, or overcome a problem, or we can find, propose, suggest, or offer a solution to a problem. After you find a solution, of course, you implement the solution. That's another collocation, to put something into practice, in practice. Now, we said we use modals, can and may, we mentioned this. We can also use should, has to, needs to, or depending on the subject, you should say have to, need to. A passive structure can also be used with modals. Can be verb 3, may be verb 3, or should can be used again in a passive structure. Should be verb 3, have to or need to be, have to be, need to be verb 3. While explaining the solutions, we can use conditionals. If you go back and analyze the paragraph, you will see if clauses are used to support our ideas. If or when students miss the morning classes many times, they experience difficulty in academic achievement. So here we have, in both parts, we have present simple, we have type 0, or we can use, if the school offers time management course, some of the students may learn. We can use type 1. We can also use an unless structure. Remember, unless means if not. So we can say some students cannot overcome the problem of failure to get up on time unless there is a friend or family around them to wake them up, which means if there is not a friend or family around them. Or we can also use type 2. Remember, we use type 2 for unreal present, something that has not happened yet. But here we would like this to happen. Let's see. If the school offered social support to students at the beginning of the year, many students would probably overcome their social problems. Here actually, by using type 2, we offer a solution. So type 2 can also be used in these paragraphs. There are some other alternatives. We can use provided that, providing that, on condition that, as long as, so long as, only if. They have similar meanings. Look, some students can overcome tardiness, providing that, or just providing they learn to take responsibility for their action. Well, here we can also use if, but here we have a star because we cannot always replace these with if. Sometimes we can do that, but we have to be careful. Sometimes, some other times they don't fit. Let's see the example. The police will not let you go if you cause trouble. Here, for example, we don't say that, provided that, as long as you cause trouble. It sounds like you should cause trouble. But here we want to say, if you cause trouble, the police will not let you go, so you shouldn't cause trouble. When you use provided that, it sounds like you should cause trouble in order to leave. So here it doesn't fit. Let's do some practice now. Go to practice 1 on page 3. Read the paragraph and fill in the missing parts in the table. Then check your answers. Then look at the second paragraph. It's on page 4. Again, read it and fill in the missing parts in the table. In both of these exercises, you will focus on the organization. And later, analyze the language in these paragraphs. Please pay attention to how the problem is stated, how the solutions are explained. Now, you're ready to write your paragraphs. After doing all these exercises, you will write a paragraph of about 150 words, and you will offer 2 or 3 possible solutions to overcome university students' financial problems. As I said, this is a short paragraph. You may write 2 solutions only, it's enough. But if you have 3, that's also okay. You should read about the top 3 money mistakes that university students make on page 10. Here you will have some background information about the problem. Then you will outline what you will write. You have an outline on page 12 that you can use. Then you should write your first draft, and after you finish writing, you should edit your writing using the guidelines on page 13 before submitting your paragraph to your teachers. Just be careful when you're writing your paragraph. You should focus on your solutions. You shouldn't only focus on the problem. You should state the problem, but your focus should be on the solutions. And try to write a cause and effect chain. And you should have a desired effect at the end. This is all. Good luck with your paragraph.